Hello and welcome everyone back on Dharma podcast. Thank you for joining us as always. We have decided to devote this conversation, this episode with Sandeep Balakrishna to the recent horrific violence that has been reported at Baraich in Uttar Pradesh. And we believe it has multiple angles to it. It has its roots dating back to decades ago, and a lot of seeds for these kind of repeated instances of no-go zone development in various parts of India have now come to a state where it is now the grammar of certain states, and that calls into question whether these policies by choice that were implemented over the decades were now have reached a fruition stage and they need to be corrected. So we shall delve into this with Sandeep on why this is happening repeatedly and what were the antecedents and what perhaps would be the recourse. Hi Sandeep, keen to get your thoughts on what transpired at Baraich in Uttar Pradesh yesterday. It's been widely reported. The trigger for the widespread violence and arson was the objection to a Durga procession by a particular community, which eventually resulted in a young fellow named Mishra being shot. So how do you see this instance? It's not the first time this has happened. This has been happening across India in a fairly recurring pattern. What are your immediate thoughts on this?
So thanks Parag for setting the context succinctly but accurately. Now, what is happening in Baraich is nothing new, except that in the specific case of Baraich, the story dates back not to decades. The story dates back to centuries. This story roughly begins with a guy called Masood. Masood was the nephew, one of the nephews of a great peaceful invader named Mahmud of Ghazni. After Mahmud left for Ghazni, ravaging large parts of North India, his nephew sought his blessings to, spread the peaceful message of his particular community wider and deeper in infidel Hindus. And he chose the very vast and very fertile plain called the Indo-Gangetic plain. And throughout the region, Masood pretty much ravaged it, destroying temples, vandalizing murtis, the usual stuff, killing and forcibly converting kafirs. One of the key areas in which Masood, Salar Mahmud basically, Salar Mahmud, one of its key areas of operation was precisely this place known as Baraich. So if you want to understand the current, like I said, I live in the past for a reason. Almost everything can be, these phenomena especially, socio-cultural, economic and other phenomena, has their roots in history. Unless you're this one of these, fly-by-night journalism kind of piece, you won't get the full context. So, like I said, Masood focused his attention on Baraich. His forays in that region, the devastation that he caused in and around Baraich, is quite interesting and brutal to say the least. Out here, especially in Baraich, we get a very fascinating episode which also offers several sidelights. Places like Baraich, Varanasi, like pretty much the whole Ganga Jamuna Doab, what used to be known as Ganga Jamuna Doab. That is the sacred part of Bharatavarsha, Aryavarta and Brahma. Salar Masood's depredations in Baraich and the surrounding region, like I said, offer several sidelights into what happened to this sacred geography, and it once again reveals the innate characteristic of Islamic raids and invasions in Bharatavarsha. Masood's biographer is a man named Abdur Rahman Chishti, Sufi, Chishtiya order Sufi. He wrote a book called Mirat-e-Masoodi, which translates into Mirror of Masood. In that work, Chishti mentions a place named Suraj Kund, which was in the vicinity of Baraich. And this Suraj Kund was renowned throughout Bharatavarsha for its magnificent and grand sun temple, Surya Mandir. Suraj Kund as well as Baraich was a Tirtha Kshetra visited by thousands and thousands of Hindu pilgrims throughout the year. Near this Surajkund temple, the sun temple, was an enormous mahua tree which was also regarded as equally sacred. It had it was a huge mahua tree, and it provided soothing shade, and all the contemporary accounts describing the tree lavish extraordinary praise on this, on the curative and the healing powers of this mahua tree. As late as 1862 or 1863, the British archaeologist Alexander Cunningham, very famous name, he identified this sun temple and the mahua tree as lying between Ayodhya and Gonda. So the temple is gone, the tree is also gone, but using scientific techniques and primary sources, Cunningham has been able to retrace and pinpoint the location of this former sun temple in Baraich. Let's get back to Abdur Rahman Chishti, what he writes in Mirati Masudi. And I quote him, Masood hunted through the country around Baraich, and whenever he passed by the idol temple of Surajkund, he would say that he wanted that piece of land to build a house for himself. This Surajkund was a sacred shrine of all infidels of Hindustan. They had carved an image of the sun in stone on the banks of the tank there. This image they called Balaruk. So the corruption of the word Baraich comes from this word.
Oh, from Balaruk.
And through its fame, meaning through the fame of this temple, Baraich had attained its flourishing condition. In other words, Baraich, what is today known as Baraich, was a prosperous, flourishing, highly sacred temple town. When there was an eclipse of the sun, the unbelievers would come from east and west to worship it, and every Sunday, Adityavar, and every Sunday, the heathens of Baraich and its surroundings, male and female, used to assemble in thousands to rub their heads under that stone and do it reverence as an object of extreme sanctity. Masood was extremely distressed and disturbed at this idolatry, and he often said that with Allah's will and assistance, he would destroy this treasure house of unbelief and set up a mosque for the worship of Allah, and after rooting out unbelief from these parts. Lo and behold, Allah was pleased to bless this undertaking of Masood, and the light of the only true faith is now shining there brighter than the sun and clearer than the moon. On the 8th day, meaning 8th day of his campaign and plundering raids, on the 8th day, Masood returned towards Baraich. As the weather was warm and he had come a long journey, he rested for some time under the mahua tree on the bank of Surajkund, and there he said, the shade of this tree is very refreshing and this spot is pleasing to me. Here I will often come till the crowds of unbelievers and the darkness of unbelief are removed permanently. Until this place is cleansed from all idolatry, it is impossible for the faith of Islam to spread in the land of Hindustan. If it please Allah, I will destroy the worship of this temple. Masood grew very angry whenever his eyes fell upon that tank and the idol, and lo and behold, that temple was soon destroyed. This, my friend Parag, is the brief historical antecedents of how Baraich and its surroundings were blessed by peace. Masood's date is sometime in the early or the mid part of the 11th century. So how many years have passed? We are in 2024, or almost a million, 900 years.
So not even a century, just like a millennium.
So that is when, I keep saying that we are lucky. We are blessed by our rishis and ancestors, and every single Hindu who has shed their blood, sacrificed, given out their neck to, still ensure that whatever is remaining of undivided Bharatavarsha is still majority Hindu. This is the historical backdrop of what is happening in Baraich today. Now, what is happening in Baraich today is won't be the last. Is neither the first, it won't be the last. Let's cut back to a few months ago to neighboring state, Haryana. No. What happened in No?
Yes.
How quickly we have forgotten. And forget Nu. What happened after Nu? In Uttarakhand, in Haldwani, now Baraich. Even before that, Dadri in 2012 or 13. What happened there? And even before that, remember what happened in Kokrajhar, Assam in 2010 or 11. You know, this absolute paragon of virtue, justice, truth, and fair and objective reporting. This India's greatest, most honest journalist named Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, when the Kokrajhar riots were not riots, Hindus were being hunted down by the peaceful community. When that was, even as it was unfolding, this guy did not report. He was in CNN IBN by then, and that time. Rajdeep did not report on it for, I think, for an entire week. Public pressure and social media pressure mounted. You know how he justified his non-reporting of those riots? He said Assam was so far away from Delhi and this tyranny of distance prevented him from not reporting. Really?
The tyranny of distance is...
Tyranny of distance. Remember that phrase, that infamous phrase?
And you use it conveniently to selectively report, not even now.
Not even now he
West Bengal is further than Assam right
even
now.
Worse. He's
not reporting in West Bengal.
West Bengal belongs to Bangladesh. It is enemy territory now.
Yes. Independent Republic
as far as these fellows are
concerned.
What is unfolding in Baraich and even before Kokrajhar? You know, how many incidents do we want, Parag? This is the fruition, like you said. It is a poisonous fruit of something called secularism, which was inflicted, which was forcibly thrust down the throats of the Hindu community by none other than Nawab Nehru. Like I mentioned in some earlier episode, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, in his resignation speech from Lok Sabha, so he openly said on the floor of the House that the Prime Minister spends the maximum part of his day in trying to appease and please Muslims. He said this. This is the fruit of Nawab Nehru's secularism. And as we all know, even as Baraich is erupting, you know, even as I think it's been brought under control, all thanks to Yogi Adityanath. Imagine if Samajwadi Party or a non-BJP party was in power. Your guess is as good as mine. Right? So, thanks to Mr. Yogi that, action has been taken so swiftly and so effectively. This pseudo-secularism, they have been emboldened that, they know, the rioters know, the instigators of these riots know the mettle and the toughness of a chief minister, of a great leader, a great sant like Yogi Adityanath, uncompromising. Still this happens.
Imagine.
Still this happens. That is the most
audacity.
That is the most notable point. So, effectively what, the message they're sending each time in all such cases is that, we'll do what we'll do. Karo tumko jo karna hai, we're showing the middle finger. It doesn't mean if you're Yogi Adityanath or Mr. Modi himself. We will do this. Rok sako to roko. This is the whole, attitude. And of course, Indian secularism, each time, its record over the last 75 years shows that Indian secularism comes to a screeching halt on the marble steps of the nearest mosque.
Well said.
As simple as that. So, ab ye nahi ho raha hai, so they are brazening it out. Look, this has always been the case, Parag, even pre-independence, as far back as you can remember. It is always one community which is, perpetually offended at what somebody said or did or didn't say or didn't do.
And this is for the world over.
Yeah, throughout the world.
It's not confined to a so-called Hindu country like India.
Yeah. Either you mollycoddle them permanently or ensure that they get a free license, a free run to inflict whatever violence, whatever bigotry that they want. So the moment you oppose them, they become a victim. This is very good, okay? They will show one suave, lawyer type, Muslim eminence as the cultivated, refined and cultured face of the community. And when it comes to the victim, they will show this one sad, bearded guy, very old man, with folded hands, begging for mercy.
That image was used.
Remember that?
Ruthlessly used.
Yeah, during that Gujarat episode.
Right. Yes.
So that, it spawned a global cottage industry of Muslim victimhood.
Absolutely.
So this is pretty much what is playing out even now. Even now it is playing out, but let's read out the news report. What is playing out in Baraich, Parag, is a great expression of peace. The name of the gentleman who was brutally shot, his full name is Shri Ram Gopal Mishra, a youth, like you said, who was recently married. And this is what the news report says. I'm reading out from India Today.
Well chosen.
Huh?
Well chosen
Well
publication.
chosen. Yeah. Of course, the great epitome of honest journalism.
Only
works
Paul
for this
bearer
channel.
of truth.
Only Paul bearer of objective journalism works for this.
India Today works for
this
him.
channel. India Today works for him. Absolutely. Yeah. We should do a separate episode on giving out, eulogizing his objective journalism. All right, we'll do that some other day. A 22-year-old man died and several others were injured during clashes between two groups. Name the groups, Baba. Name it.
That is journalism.
Two groups in a village in Uttar Pradesh, Baraich, over the playing of music during a Durga idol immersion procession on Sunday, October 13th. So, which is yesterday. Again, the same thing. Music, procession of Hindu Devis and Devatas, offense. Why? 5 times we are subjected, the whole of India is subjected 5 times each day to what is known as prayers. After the incident, tension gripped the area as people set several vehicles on fire, prompting the police to use force to bring the situation under control, blah, 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 blah. Clashes erupted when stones were thrown and gunshots were fired at the procession as it was passing through Baraich's Masi subdivision. This is the trigger. Stone pelting. It is a universal phenomenon. From Kashmir to Boston or whatever. From Kashmir to Paris to London to Baraich.
Stones are always available.
Stones are available. Unlimited supply of stones are available. Gunshots were fired. Parag, have you ever tried applying for a gun license?
It's at will.
Okay.
They have enough ammunition of stones and firearms.
Deadly weapon, firearms, exactly. And the police also detained at least 30 people. And now you come to the meat of the story. 30 people were detained. One man identified as Salman was also arrested after police found evidence of shots being fired at a procession from his home and shop. Remember what happened in Rajasthan, Udaipur? One poor tailor.
Yes.
Throat was slit. Similar. The modus operandi is similar. A case has been registered against 10 people in connection with the clashes. Look at the terminology, Parag. I mean, it's fine. English is a language. I mean, journalists, reporters have to report what they have to. They are pressed for time. It's all fine. A clash, by definition, occurs due to a provocation. Where does this provocation come each time from? Out of 10 people, 6 people have been identified as 1. Abdul Hamid, Sarfaraz, Fahim, Sahir Khan, Nankau and Maraf Ali. 4 people are yet to be identified.
As reported by India Today.
As reported by India Today. Who are the instigators? Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath took note of incident and called a meeting with senior officials, blah, 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 okay. Law and order, etc. And Yogi ji also has said on Twitter that immersion of idols will continue. Imagine if any other man or woman was a chief minister of UP other than Yogi ji. Imagine. Immersion of idols will continue.
He made the assertive state. Exactly.
Ye hota hai leadership. Okay, this is standing up to the bully. Administration and police officials have been directed to be present on the spot and speak with religious organization to ensure that the immersion of idols is done. This is decisiveness. According to the police, the man identified as Ram Gopal Mishra, who was part of the procession, was shot. He was rushed to a hospital where he died during treatment. And on Monday, October 14, that is today, family members of Mishra refused to perform his last rites, stating that they would not proceed with the funerals until the accused were arrested. This is
Read that.
very good. Very good. Actually, very good. You no longer take these things lying down. Okay. And a bike showroom was also vandalized in the area. And cops are saying that we have taken control of the situation, etc. Now, what is the response to this from the other side, from the peaceful community? Okay, they speak in extremely peaceful language. So this is a statement given by a gentleman named S.T. Hassan, who is a leader of the Samajwadi Party. He is the former MP of Moradabad. And this is what he says, and I quote, "No community should agitate against the other community. No community should pelt stones on the other community. They should not take law into their own hands. The right way is to tell your problems to administration. But people agitate the communities. The people, which people? The people play music on loudspeakers near masjids during the time of namaz." And what are we told by the champions of secularism? That all religions are equal. Everything should be respected. Hindu, Muslim, bhai bhai. And यहाँ पे
And every time they get a chance to show bhai
हाँ,
bhai,
हाँ,
they
हाँ,
don't.
भाईचारा दिखा रहे हैं। करे ना अभी हमारा जो क्या नाम है उसका फॉर्मर एमपी ऑफ मुरादाबाद S.T. Hassan. The people play music on loudspeakers near masjids during the time of namaz. At most of the places where such clashes happen, it gets converted into Hindu-Muslim violence, it seems.
Converted.
They should know about conversion.
And this is a former MP, no less.
Former MP.
These are lawmakers.
No, yeah, one more, I think he was a former Samajwadi Party SP or former Congress Party MP from Uttar Pradesh, some Quraishi. Remember the Danish cartoons episode?
Yes, yes.
This man announced a public reward of 51 crore rupees
Yeah.
for any person who beheads.
Charlie Hebdo.
Charlie Hebdo wala, who beheads cartoonists. So this is par for the course. अभी हमारा former MP Hassan साहब ये बोल रहा है. At most of the places when such clashes happen, it gets converted into Hindu-Muslim violence. It weakens the country and society. Action must be taken against those who take laws in their own hands. Okay.
Yeah, so basically painting a genuine religious peaceful procession as the aggressor.
As the aggressor
And
and
these
the
as the
perpetrators as a, and it's a standard thing, you know,
Standard.
blaming the victim. This is secularism in action once again and again. Why? Fundamental question, and you know, this has been volumes have been written about this phenomenon, recurring phenomenon of Hindu-Muslim riots. It's actually Muslim-Hindu riots, which have occurred at such frequency, especially of dating back roughly to the British rule. That is, after the British takeover of India. There is a reason for these recurring riots, Muslim-Hindu riots. Majority or more than 90% of all clashes between Hindus and Muslims have been initially provoked by the peaceful community. As simple as that. Now, what gave rise to this phenomenon? The answer is simple. Until Hindustan was ruled by various Nawabs and Nizams and Sultans, there was no need for the peaceful community to go out of its way to inflict violence against kafirs, against infidels, heathens. Because the Sultan or the Nawab or the Nizam did a damn good job of oppressing
The state itself.
harassing kafirs during peacetime. You know, when tax collectors used to come to Hindu cultivators to collect tax, they would spit into their mouth, and the taxpayer, the poor unfortunate Hindu, into whose mouth, and there is a prescription on, you know, the method of the spitting. So the Hindu had to voluntarily and happily, cheerfully open his mouth wide enough so that the full spittle would land directly into, it had a free passage from the mouth into the throat and would reach all the way to his stomach. And throughout the entire process, the kafir had to keep a cheerful countenance. He should not, he was forbidden from even showing a frown. The risk was various forms of punishment, including but not limited to public flogging, stone pelting and death, decapitation. So the sultans did a damn good job of this even during peacetime. And suddenly the Mughal power fell. Political power of Islam throughout infidel Hindustan had been shattered. The vile Marathas had suddenly become a pan-Indian power. Then the red-skinned Firangs, Christians, hated Christians, they came and took over, snatched this power from the peaceful community. What happened to us suddenly? So to inflict, to somehow keep that anger alive, to wrest political power back from the infidel Hindus, this kept happening. This is a reason, historical reason for this recurrence of peaceful community provoked riots. This is exactly what is playing out everywhere. Classic case of this is Nu, Kokrajhar, Haldwani, Dadri, you name it. Okay, all these things, Udaipur, all these things are slow build-ups, recurring, low intensity but targeted violence. Okay, they are plus they are scattered. There is no one single point of India. So they are all slow build-ups to a critical mass, and this critical mass was most recently seen during the infamous Direct Action Day in 1946, which is the one incident that led to the partition of undivided India. It was done by Mr. Suhrawardi, who was then the premier or the chief minister of Bengal, heeding the advice, heeding the order of Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the father of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam. What is happening? Throughout the build-up to the partition, to Direct Action Day, we see from Barabanki, from Lahore, Karachi, Rawalpindi, Jalandhar, Patiala, everywhere, Malegaon, Gulbarga, Kohat, Malabar, many parts in Telangana under Nizam's rule, everywhere it led to its culmination in the Direct Action Day.
So this portends grim,
it doesn't,
grim
very, very grim future. Very, very, and this crap, sorry for the language, this crap won't stop.
It won't stop.
It won't stop.
So
as simple as that.
So actually, given your devotion to history, those who have researched, so even when there is no other community, in this case Hindu, at least for 1,000 years, even when it's only that community, they have been fighting internecine battles for centuries across the globe.
Yeah.
Take the Iran-Iraq war, for example.
Yeah.
Take the Iran-Iraq war, for example. So violence, irrespective of who the opposition is the natural posture of a particular thinking process.
No, it is built into this mechanism. Is built into that. Violence
so even when there is no adversarial community,
into that software.
Yeah.
It's not a bug. It's a feature.
It's a feature.
It's an operating system.
So even when there is no
ways.
adversarial Hindu community which is confined only to India, they've been at war with each other. And violence being the hallmark.
Yeah. That's it. Because look, Shri Sitaram Goel put it memorably when he said that this particular ideology is imperialism masquerading as religion. This is a great insight that Sitaram Goelji has given, which is true, and it is said of Shakespearean tragedy. One of the finest analysis of Shakespeare's tragedy is this: that evil first wages a relentless war against good, and then destroys good, and then it fights with itself until it destroys itself.
This was analysis by?
No. This is when doing literary analysis of Shakespearean tragedies. This is
this seems to be
a fundamental, like a starting point, a maxim, an axiom for analyzing.
Got it.
Yeah, it's like a framework for analyzing Shakespeare's tragedies. So the same thing applies here. They keep fighting, now. Okay, you
be the case.
So you were afraid of the tyranny of the Hindu majority. So you wanted a land of milk and honey, in which the only true, the only pure religion of the world will have a separate country for itself, where all peaceful people will live as brothers. All believers will live as brothers and sisters. Okay, so you got Pakistan. क्या हुआ? Ahmadiyas have been declared as kafirs. Hindus को छोड़ो, वो खत्म ही हो गया. Ahmadiyas are, they're declared as kafirs. Now the Shia population, they have been declared as heretics. So चलता रहता है. So this is a Shakespearean tragedy analogy which fits this thing.
Yeah, it kind of explains it.
Yeah. Fits like a tight glove.
Yes, it does.
So what you are seeing in Baraich is just the latest expression, latest physical manifestation of same thing. You are taking out Durga Puja procession. Why should anybody be offended? Unless there is a scriptural reason for taking offense. Durga Ma आपका क्या बिगाड़ा था? Or the believers of Durga Ma, what क्या बिगाड़ा था आपका?
Once a year.
Ganesh Chaturthi,
Again, once a year.
once a year. क्या बिगाड़ा था? Why this unprovoked stone pelting and firing? तो चलता रहता है. See, every such incident that occurs, I mean, at some point you get tired of saying the same things, repeating the same things again and again. But you have to keep up at it to be on guard, to put it mildly.
In fact, kudos to the Haryana voters. They prevented Haryana from going into complete.
Otherwise, the whole of Haryana,
Nu would have been equal
Nu
Haryana.
would have been,
Nu equals Haryana.
multiplied.
Yeah, it would have been
Across
Nu
the
all over.
board.
Nu.
Because the instigator of Nu, I forget his name. Okay, that guy got elected in the Muslim majority ticket.
MLA Baban.
Somebody,
yeah.
one of those guys. Yeah, he won with a thumping majority after Nu.
After Nu.
So that was the trigger for this kind of consolidation and electoral victory.
I mean, thank God to the wisdom of Haryana voters.
Wisdom prevailed over Haryana voters. And who enables this kind of nonsense? Secularist parties.
And again,
The
history goes back to
mothership, Congress party.
In fact, the settlement in Nu is largely illegal Rohingyas,
Yeah.
which has been facilitated by the
Yes,
Congress gentlemen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Rohingyas, I mean,
A recent phenomenon.
this is the whole point. No, you without our knowledge, Rohingyas everywhere. So-called refugee
Right
camps
from
are
Jammu.
everywhere.
Right from
Jammu all the way
Under
even
the flyovers of Delhi.
in Bangalore,
Capital.
in Hyderabad. This is par for the course. There is simply no checks and balances. Look, this is so awesome, Parag. Now that you mentioned Rohingyas, just like as a sidelight, the whole alleged Rohingya crisis, they call it crisis. When did it erupt? In Myanmar. When did it erupt?
When the local Burmese started protesting.
No, correct. When did it erupt? 10 years back?
Yeah, at least.
10 years back? It was an engineered operation from globalist forces. Until then, how many people, even in India, knew
Of Rohingyas.
knew of Rohingyas? And which
So this was to drive demographic.
which was the first country in which these Rohingyas were flooded? India. Porous borders, corrupt administration, selfish politicians, secularism. It all boils down to that. Why haven't they gone to Muslim majority Pakistan or neighboring Bangladesh? Why? Or you go down the road, you will reach Thailand. Ye kya hai? Is this a country or is this a waste paper basket? We have, this 70 years of secularism has precisely done this. When you allow this kind of rot to accumulate and eat the country from within, the termites from within, no surgery, no band-aid, nothing except chemotherapy seems to work.
And for that, we need more willing, able, tough, decisive leaders.
Yeah,
like
and
some of
tough
the kind of-
action, uncompromising
action. Unyielding action.
Above all, unapologetic action.
Unapologetic, absolutely. There are a few on the horizon leaders. We need more of them.
We need more of them.
So seriously, I think the backdrop of Baraich, could you say the name again? The original, which was before it was corrupted?
Balarukh.
Yeah.
Balarukh Sun Temple.
I mean, I think this is quite revealing.
Yeah.
The deep history behind it and how it was chosen, targeted, like you say.
Yeah.
And targeted action continues till today.
Salar Mahmud. He blessed the whole region with a peaceful.
In fact, it's how the earlier conversations also, when you talk about Bareilly and others, everything has a historical pretext.
Definitely, sir. This is the oldest civilization surviving in the world, non-Abrahamic. And Hindus, the Hindu civilization and the Hindu people have lived to tell the tale, because every other non-Abrahamic religions or civilizations, with the first encounter with the peaceful faith, were wiped out. People don't exist who have preserved the memories. Monuments don't exist. Of course they do, but they're ruins.
They don't tell a story.
They don't tell any story. And they've been invaded repeatedly. So we have lived to tell the tale because
in spite of multiple
we have
invasions.
preserved the memories, Parag. The day you lose these memories, you will not need, no Hindu-Muslim rights will happen. The day you lose this memory, over.
I think the juxtaposing of historical context into so-called modern India over the last several decades, I think I would exhort you to chronicle that as a standalone.
That's what I'm doing with invaders and infidels.
Yeah, I know. So I think it needs to make its way into the syllabi of people who start to learn history and carry forward.
I hope it happens. Let's hope for the best and pray for success.
Thanks, Sandeep. It's always illuminating. I run out of words. that you are able to bring out historical facets to almost every current day occurrence, and that, needless to say, goes back to your deep study of history. So thank you again. What Baraich was, how it was targeted, and how what has been happening since yesterday in Uttar Pradesh traces its roots back to then was a revelation. So thank you so much for that. And it was called for to discuss it today as it is current. So thank you all for joining Dharma Podcast, and we look forward to continuing to talk to us, watch us as we continue our conversations further. We would again urge you to like, share, and subscribe to Dharma Podcast so that this content reaches a wider audience. And we'll be more than happy to take your feedback on what you would like to cover in such conversations in the future.